Hey, cleaning nation, actually service nation. Sorry, I've been serving owners of cleaning companies for so long, I get confused easily. Service nation, not just owners of cleaning companies, but HVAC and landscapers and pool guys and electricians and all you amazing owners of service companies out there serving the world. We are here today. We are going to talk about getting rid of warm body syndrome in your life, how to avoid it, how to never have it. If you're anything like me, and you've got a service business, there has been times where you've struggled with hiring employees. You've been in that chicken and the egg scenario, which like, man, I really want to grow, but I don't have enough employees to take on more clients, so I'm stuck. But then you're like, okay, I want to get more employees, but I don't have the work for them, right? So there's that kind of chicken and the egg, and you get stuck. If you're anything like me, that created scenarios where somebody would quit and you'd be short staffed, right? And then because you're a little short staffed, that gives extra work slash stress slash responsibility to people that you have. So then they get frustrated, and maybe that someone else quits, and you start getting more and more short staffed, and you get more and more desperate to have your employees, and then you kind of the table shifts where they kind of know and feel like, wait a sec, this guy needs me or this gal needs me more than I need them, and then the inmates are running the asylum, right? And that is the perfect recipe for warm body syndrome. And warm body syndrome is sitting across the desk from a man or a woman that's applying to be on your team as a service tech, and you know they're looking at you with these cold, dead shark eyes, and you know they're not a good fit, but they can fog a mirror, and they said they'd show up, and somehow you hear your body and mouth going, okay, we'll start you tomorrow, and you know it's the wrong guy or gal. And whether it's a day later, whether they show up or not, a week later, a day later, a month later, something blows up, and you go, yep, that was a bad idea, I shouldn't have done that. So anyway, that is warm body syndrome. That's exactly what we want to make sure that we get you out of, and never happening. Because again, it's just, the problem is when we desperately need people, there's actually two scenarios. One is, I know this guy or gal's not a fit, and yet I'm going to hire him because I know I need people. And God forbid we're in the field, right? Depending on how small your company is, if you've only got one or two techs and one or two techs quit, you're like, hey, this might be me back in the field again, which is not what I signed up to do. So there's one, when you're, the worst case of warm body syndrome is they're not a fit and you hire them because you're desperate. The kind of lesser case, which still isn't great, is when you can't tell if they're a fit because you want to believe so badly they're a fit because you need somebody. So you're like, I'm not even sure I'm gonna hire them, and that will just kill you. And again, I've tried, well, I'll do background checks, I'll do drug testing, I'll ask for references, and these are all fine things. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but at the end of the day, I didn't have a system that made sure I always had more than enough of the right people wanting to work for me. So if you're writing stuff down, that's the magic. A system that makes sure there are more than enough people that want to work for you than you possibly need, and they're the right people, right? So you can't have not enough, that'll kill you, and you can't have lots of quantity but not enough quality, that'll kill you. You need enough quantity of the right people, quality, wanting to work for you more so than you have spots for them. That's the money. The problem is, if we don't get this set, your entire business, the growth of it, or even the survival of it, is held hostage by this one lack of a system of, I don't know how to get people, right? And then it's so insidious because you'll go out to sell, and you guys, I would love to hear if this is something you've been at, but you'll go out to sell, and in the back of your mind, you're like, I don't know that anybody that I'll be able to handle this work, right? You don't want to sell, especially if we're in recurring like landscaping or cleaning or something we're out over and over again. You're afraid to sell because like, who's going to do this work? It's going to be me, or going to hire somebody, so that it inhibits our ability to sell. The good news is once we get this problem fixed, the reverse happens, right? Once we're like, I've got so many talented people that want to work, they're going to crush it for whoever we're in front of. The sell, not only does not hurt your sales, it makes you sell a lot. It's magic how sales start. It's kind of like when you create this void, right? I've got all this talent ready to work. The work just kind of tends to go towards you, right? The marketing, everything you do tends to work better. When you are chasing talent and begging for talent, you don't have people working for you. It's magically the wrong way of the jobs seem to dry up, right? And you're kind of almost relieved because you don't think you can do it. So I still remember, and you guys can, and gals can raise your hand, let me know if you felt this way. Having an employee come to me, he knew that we needed them more than I needed. I needed him more than he needed me, right? He knew that he felt like he was in a position of control, and he tried to hold me hostage. He demanded more money. And he didn't just come and say, hey, I'd like a raise and here's why, and let's have a conversation. He basically said, hey, I know you don't have enough employees and you've been asking me to do more, and either give me more money or I'm going to quit. That sucks. I gotta tell you, that is, and we talked yesterday, I'm going to refer to yesterday's podcast quite a bit. And if Lindsay is on, if you put that link in, because yesterday we talked about kind of the culture and how to get the right people and keep them motivated. And when someone comes to you and tries to hold you hostage, that's a culture issue, right? It was not, the tipping point was the fact that I didn't have enough employees, and that guy knew it. But the fact that he would do that shows I had the wrong guy. And for all of you guys that are, what happened? What'd you do? I've had people hold me hostage. What do you do? I'll tell you what I did. And I don't know if this, I think it's the right thing, but it was more because I'm a stubborn jerk than anything. I told the guy to piss off. I would rather have no business than have someone else hold my business hostage. So anytime anyone tries to hold me hostage, immediately it's a fire. But then I got to go solve the problem, right? And without a system to hire employees, that was a big problem. So in that case, as usual, the surface problem was I don't know what to do or how to do it. I don't know how to create a system or a process to hire employees. That was a surface problem. Then we're going to solve that today, and it's an important one. But the real villain lurking in the shadows, just beneath the surface, that was really killing me was my beliefs. I believed that I should start and stop hiring when I started and stopped needing employees. So, I felt I'm fully staffed 80% of the time, so I'm not hiring. Oh, somebody quit, so I'm going to start hiring, right? That is a problem. So when you don't have a system that's automatically running in the background to hire employees, lots of bad things happen. You'll keep bad employees longer than you should, right? This guy that held me hostage, he was obviously a bad employee before that, and I probably knew it, but was afraid to fire him, right? Or I didn't know it because I was blinded by I need him so bad I can't even address if he's a good employee, because if I do, I'll have to come face to face with the reality he's not. So you keep bad employees longer than you should because you're afraid to replace them. Somebody quits and you give more work to the ones who stay, which costs overtime, and sometimes they get worn out and then they quit. And before you have it, you're right back at warm body syndrome. They know, oh, there you go, Lindsay, for everyone that's live. Lindsay put up a link to yesterday's video. And we'll put it in the notes for all of you joining us on YouTube and podcasts as well. So they know that you need them more than they need you. And this creates a situation where the inmates are running the asylum, right? They know who's in charge. And you, again, like we talked about, you start fearing taking on new work, never mind, growing, and the entire growth of your business just grows to a halt. And I've seen this happen over and over with people, unfortunately, coming to me at the back end, right? They've already been through this. We have to help them come out. But I've seen them shrink back to going from just doing it by themselves and then getting a team of 5 or 10 employees, and some culture thing happened where a bunch of people quit, and they do quit in bunches of service people. Anyone that's been in business for a long time knows this. They all quit at once, and then I've seen people just go, forget it. It was easier just to clean pools than have a pool cleaning business, or whatever our service is. It's just easier to do it than have a business that does that. And the problem is, you do that, it's easy to just go, well, you realize, well, crap, working for myself isn't that great, right? I still have to do the work to get paid. And then sometimes I'll even end up taking a job working for somebody else, which is just not ideal. Okay, so like we talked about yesterday, about hiring with core values, that's huge. The link's in for anyone that's joining live, or if not, we'll put it in the notes. But even with core values-based hiring, which is going to change so much, you still need a system, right? Core values, kind of the rules that you are going to follow to get the right people, but the system is how to make sure that everything works on time and is always running in the background without you having to chase and beg people. And I got to tell you, teaching others, because I'd figured out how to do this, but I didn't really have a system for it. When we started coaching others, I had to create a system of here's how to make sure this happens every time for everybody in every service business, as opposed to just for me. That forced me to transition from kind of the wonky system I had, which worked because we had such a good culture. That's what I talked about in yesterday's episode, to because that's really going from whoever shows up whenever they show up. And if you've got a good culture, lots of good people will show up, and you kind of get by with that. But when you're just starting, that's what leads to warm body syndrome, right? Where just a loser show up or nobody shows up. So I moved to always never system. And that's what we're gonna walk through you guys today. Always hiring, never fully staffed, right? The last thing I ever want to hear one of my clients say is, oh, I'm not hiring, I'm fully staffed, because that's not true. Here's, if you need, I'll give you some symptoms. If this sounds familiar like you're like, okay, this would be indicative that you need an always hiring, never fully staffed system. One, you're growing, right? If you're fully staffed today, but you get new clients tomorrow, well, then you need new employees, right? If you have employees that quit ever, anyone? Okay, yeah. If you have employees that when they go on vacation, it's an emergency, right? That means you don't have enough people. If you've ever had employees quit in bunches, this is another one. If you're writing stuff down, everyone always seems to be befuddled when they're like, yeah, like 5 people quit in the last 2 weeks. And how did I see that coming? And I go, when's the last time 5 people quit within a 2 or 3 week span? They're like, 6 months ago. Okay, so we know that it's going to happen. People do quit in bunches. We need a system for that. If you have any people that aren't A players on your team, that means you got to go to the always hiring, never fully staffed, right? If you've got C and D players, we need to top grade them. Only way to top grade them is to have more qualified people coming in that we think are going to be A players than we need. And again, if you're like, well, I don't want to fire the C player for an A applicant, maybe that A applicant's worse. He's a D. Maybe, but then we'll just fire that D with another A applicant, right? The C we know is a C, right? We can't tolerate that. So if you want to be firmly in control of your company with no employee having the ability to hold you hostage, like I learned the hard way, you need always hiring, never fully staffed systems. If you want confidence in selling, again, and we talked about when you've got more good talent chomping at the bit to go out and serve your customers, it makes the job of the salespeople so much easier because they're so confident they get it done. And the reverse happens when you're like, I don't know who's going to get this job done if I take on this client. Your ability to sell just goes to garbage, right? So the big opportunity switch and shift I want you guys to get is moving from hiring on as needed, which will eat your lunch and just it's terrible, to always hiring, never fully staffed. And as always, I want to give you guys a framework of what that looks like and how to do it. So first and foremost, realize you are selling as much or more than when you sell for customers, right? So a lot of us go to when it's customers like, oh, we've got to sell and use good sales copy. And we put a lot of thought into hopefully we put a lot of thought into our marketing and the journey that the customer goes through to go from stranger to someone that has heard of you, to someone that knows and likes and trusts you, to someone that raises their hand for a bid, to someone that actually becomes a customer. We've got entire podcasts or videos on that, growmyservicecompany.com. The same goes for employees, right? With customers, they're giving you something of value. They're giving you their money. Employees are giving you something of far more value. They're giving you their time, right? So we kind of think, well, we're paying them, so we can just do what we want. They just need to show up, right? Couldn't be further from the truth. And again, yesterday's podcast goes over exactly how to write the best hiring ad, how to do everything core values based. But the first thing we need to understand is we are selling people, the top talent, certainly, on working for us as much as, if not more than we're selling our customers. So we got to go from they should just show up because I put in an ad to I got to sell them just like any other customer. Number two, you've got to write core values based sales copy. And again, the last episode that we've linked in goes over that in depth. The good news is when you do this, it will bring in way more applicants and a higher caliber of applicant, right? So when you go from the old boring hiring ad of, hey, Mike's plumbing company is fast growing and looking for energetic new people to get on the job training and paid vacation, apply here now, right? If anyone's going, holy crap, how do you know what my ad looks like? Because everybody's ad looks like that, right? We need to move from that, which is all about us, to core values based ads, which we talked about in the last episode. This will bring a lot higher quality of applicants. It'll bring a lot more quantity of applicants. And if you're constantly running the ad, it'll get you out of the fully staffed thing, and you'll start hiring all the time. So, and also instead of trying to get overwhelmed, so step one is realize you're selling. Just because you put out a crappy ad, they're not going to show up, or the right people are going to show up. 2, write core values based sales copy based on the fact that you're selling. 3, instead of getting overwhelmed by trying to chase everybody one by one, automate a system so they come to you, right? So that's a big shift. We have to go from you or one of your employees, say you get 100 applicants, right? If you're as honest, and again, I know this because I coach owners of cleaning companies and service companies, you'll tell me, well, I got 123 applicants and I called 13 and I got worn out. So then I told my receptionist, office manager, VA, whoever to call them, and they got bored after about another 20. So of the 120 that called in, we called 30. Well, God bless it. What if, the best applicants were in the back 80 that we didn't even call, right? And then we hate doing it. So then what happens is that will kill you from being in always hiring because you're like, oh, I do not want to call these people. It's the worst. So we stop doing it. So we need a system that is automated that gets the people to come to you as opposed to you chasing them. That's a big switch, right? So the way you're going to do that is automate a follow-up system. So when people do an application, they're going to get texts and emails and automated systems to get them to show up for the interview. And you're going to make it a group interview first, right? So even if you get 50 applicants and only 5 people or 10 people show up, who cares? You're going to be there the same hour and a half. So, or you're going to pay someone. So that group interview is shifting from, so big shifts, going from fully staffed to always hiring, going from just putting out an ad and hoping people show up to core values based copy, sales copy, going from chasing people and trying to get them for an application, and then you spend 20 hours chasing down a bunch of deadbeats to set 10 appointments that only 5 show up and only 2 you would even talk to after 2 seconds, or creating an automated system to get them to come to you in a group form. That's a huge thing. Then then the next step is a one-on-one interview, and then we do a working interview. And we teach all that stuff in our system, so I can't get too deep now, but that's the big shift that we're making, is going from hiring when quote unquote I need it to I'm never fully staffed, I'm always hiring. This one concept has not just liberated me and my company and the companies I've had, it's liberated thousands of owners in the service business from either spending too much time hiring, hating the time that they spent. So as soon as they get barely staffed, they're like, good, I can stop. But then that goes right back into warm body syndrome, right? Because if you have barely enough people, the inmates are still running the asylum. They know that you need them more than they need you. You want to have, and I'm telling you, by the way, having a group interview every week where 5 or 10 good applicants come in, that'll light a little fire into the people that you have now. When they know there's people coming in wanting their job, lots of good stuff coming in. People interviewing in bunches are like, oh, holy crap, this must be an important job. Look at all those other people that want it. So many good things. It will just, and again, having all the good employees that you need is just a shot in the arm for sales. It just frees you up mentally and emotionally to go sell. So in addition to having all the employees you need, you will stop wasting time hiring and hating it. You'll stop hating the process and go, I want to stop that. I promise you, showing up to one group interview where people just show up without you doing anything once a week is a delight. There's nothing wrong. You won't hate it. You'll start having a system that always works, whether you're doing the work or not, right? If you're on vacation, you have somebody else to run the group interview, right? You've got a system and a process as opposed to you just hustling every time you need somebody. You move from you working your business to creating systems that you oversee, and the systems run your business. You oversee the business, but day to day, the systems do the work. You get rid of warm body syndrome forever. And you catch too many people want into this cool, working environment disease, which is much better. I'm telling you, I've been on both sides of the street, and I'm sure you have. That kind of beggar, like, hey, Steve, Sean didn't show up today or he quit. Can I get you to do some extra work? Or can you work on a weekend? Like that beggar for your people sucks. Being a gatekeeper where you've got so many people that want in, you're like, wow. And everybody that's there is like, I want more hours. I want more hours. Like, I've got so many new talented people coming in. We're doing the best I can. Being the gatekeeper of the hours as opposed to the beggar 4 hours is a big shift. You definitely want to do that. This moves you from an enslaved manager, right, to I got to be there and check out and who's going what and who's doing the schedule and who's showing up and do we have enough people and I got to sort all this up, to an owner with the freedom, right? Because the systems are doing all that. You're running the systems. You can do that from anywhere in the world. The big thing is hiring moves from something you hate and you avoid at all costs, so you put it off until it's too late and then you only do it when it's an emergency, which makes you hate it even more, to a system that's always running in the background, right? And it gives you the time and money freedom as opposed to sucking time and money freedom out. That's a big thing. That's a big concept I want to give you today. We've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of owners of service company with the same concept. If you are digging this, if you found value, if you're like, yes, this is what I need, subscribe, rate, and review, share the show, refer to other folks. Let us know that you dig it, so we can keep putting more time, money, and effort into creating more content for you. If you have subscribed, rated, review, or referred, just message me on Instagram. Shoot me a direct message going, hey, I referred, or I subscribed, or reviewed. And I will give you a copy of my book, I'm a Freaking Genius, Why Is This Business So Hard?, to help you on your journey. It's basically 20 years of me figuring out what to do and how to do it and what not to do and why not to do it. And giving it to you in a book. And it's a nice book. I made it super easy to read. It's super conversational. You can read it on a nice 4 or 5 hour plane ride if you want. It's easy to read. And if you want everything that we have, the Facebook group, subscribe to the podcast, get all the videos, where we're going to put all the cool stuff that we have, go to growmyservicecompany.com. You get everything you need. So that's it, guys, gals. Share with your story. Shoot me an email. Drop me a note on Facebook or Instagram. Let me know if you've got warm body syndrome and if you are making the shift from fully staffed to always hiring. Can't wait to support you. Talk to you soon.